Hi everyone, and welcome to the 7th Millennials Mondays video podcast here at Doris HQ. Today we're going to be talking about how to find your perfect job. The topic is more than just job sites, and to talk to me about that today is James from Jack All Productions. So if you just want to intro yourself and say where you're at in your career.
Yeah, sure. So Jack All Productions, it's a video production agency that I joined back in August. I'm their business development accounts manager. So it's a bit of a kind of change of scenery for what I'm used to, being a kind of graphic designer, freelance, and then what I studied in. But, it's all about them transferable skills and what I found to be, where I wanted to go with my kind of career, and the skill set that I wanted to use is the more kind of client-based stuff. So I've been working there now for the best part of 6 months.
Yes, and I remember when you started, it used to be close to where our old offices are, and now
we were down, so we're down in Baltic. So, we're in the Northern Lights, so it's a very vibrant kind of scene. But,
loads of startups.
Loads of startups.
Yeah, really cool companies.
Loads of independents, loads of artists that are still there. So it's a real nice mix and, of clientele within that building, within that space.
So how did you find yourself there? What's your journey from school?
So school, I never wanted to stay in school.
Not enjoy school.
I absolutely love school. I shouldn't badmouth in case any of my ex-teachers are watching. But it was always, the platform in school was always to go on and do A-levels, and it was always quite academic subjects. And I always wanted to be a graphic designer or to do something within that kind of field. So when I left, when I was looking for options when I left school, the Liverpool Community College at the top offered that 2-year graphic design BTEC.
Oh yeah.
And I think schools push you to do, don't choose what you want to do just yet, have a look around and see. But I knew I wanted to go down in that route, so the BTEC was there. And then after the BTEC, a lot of recommendations say you stay on and do your foundation degree, because that opens up and unlocks a lot more doors than they say if you're going straight into your BTEC. And ultimately, it definitely did. So when I was applying for universities, after the second year of my BTEC course, a lot of places that I went to interview said, no, go and get your foundation and then come back. And I think it was only really one university that I applied for, which I got the unconditional, I got the referral kind of place. So I said, right, do your A-level and then you can come back. And that was Leeds.
That's good.
Beckett's now, I think it's called.
Right.
But as I'd done the A-level, the foundation, as I'd done that foundation, I started to apply for more kind of wider unis and give me confidence to go for the kind of more renowned unis for the graphic design courses. So Nottingham came up, and that was absolutely fantastic. As soon as Nottingham, it was a bit further away from everyone else, so I felt like I could still have that new start. No one from Liverpool really went there. It's a bit too far, a bit hard to get. 3 years.
And it's a commitment to your course as well and to what you want to do.
Exactly. I feel like a lot of people don't go into uni as a full step. They kind of test the water, they dip the toe in it, but you need to just, you do, and also a lot of the people who I went on to the university with, they were jumping back home every weekend, every bank holiday, any chance that they could get, and I just thought, embrace it, go into it, making this commitment for 3 years. Yeah. Go and love what you're going to do.
Then you had your degree, and what was your next step? What was your first job?
So whilst I was in university, it was always on the side. I was always doing retail just to fund myself, to be, to live. Meal deals don't cost for free, do they? So it was always that on the side. And then, fortunate enough, that retail experience then lent itself to a live brief that I was doing in university with a retail agency down in London. Oh, cool. So they came up and we'd done a live brief for them. We went down and presented our work to them in London, and then through that I got a internship.
In London?
In London, in their head office.
I know a lot of the other podcasts as well, it always seems that when you come into the end of uni, come into the end of third year, everyone's like, oh, got to go to London. Yeah. It's a weird mentality that we need to squash it. We need to get rid of it.
It is, and I feel like a lot of people think that is the default kind of step. But I feel like
you did it.
I always said to myself I was going to stay in Nottingham for another year. There was a massive kind of print scene, which is what I love to do in university, was print. So there's a really nice print kind of scene with a lot of kinds of workshop being placed on. There's a lot of agencies down there that push that. And I just loved the city in general. I made a lot of contacts there, a lot of friends. So I just wanted to stay there for the month, for the year. I had a flat, all sorts of flatmates, everything. But then they came along and said, we want you to come down and work for us for a month, and you can't say no to opportunities like that,
That's
because
true.
not everyone gets that.
Even if it's London. So
Even if but I have to, again, say that I
You have to
absolutely
go.
love London. And when I was down there, it was this kind of confirmation for me. When people go, they need to test it out. They say, am I going to go and hate it and never go back again?
Yeah.
Or am I going to go and love it? And I ended up loving it. So I stayed down there on and off for the best part of a year. So I was doing internships, working down there as well, meeting people, meeting contacts. I had friends off my course there, so obviously I was meeting their, their workmates. I was meeting their kinds of...
So that's all about
teams.
networking. That's networking, using your network from uni, and that is a huge other alternative route into getting a job, because people just think they finish uni and they go on to a job site, any job site, search a job on Google and apply to like 60 different companies with the same CV, and you just get it out there. We have CVs coming in with all different kinds of companies' names on, and it's not necessarily the most effective use of your time. I think it's not an enjoyable or personal way of getting a job. And like you saying, using your contacts, your uni course kind of led to that internship as well. There's so many different routes, and as you said earlier, apprenticeships, traineeships, placements, internships. There's so many different ways that like you say, you can help people. It can help people find their passion, find their feet, because you might not necessarily know, even when you go to uni, what you want to use your degree for or what you want to do. And a lot of people don't use their degree, do they?
Well, that's it, and it's exploration, ultimately. If I'm quite lucky in the fact that my role or my career lends itself to being open to new challenges. You have to always been able to adapt or to grow. So I found that to be quite a transferable way to get into the likes of London and networking, because you always need to be acceptant to new things. And I think that was it. But as I say, some of the internships that I got were through my course leader, who I stayed in touch with, because he was from Liverpool, so we had that kind of connection anyway, being two Scousers in Nottingham. But then it was like, it was also, if you do that and implement that throughout a lot of different groups, then you're always going to meet one person who in 10 months' time or whatever it was,
it's going
to come, oh, I know, I met him. And then, and it builds up. And I think just being sociable, it just lends itself so well, doesn't it?
Absolutely, definitely.
Like you say, in these trainee programs.
Yeah, so I actually went, and I was doing a bit of research before, and I found on a job site, one of the leading job sites, a 7-point simple plan for getting a job. And I just wanted to get your opinion on it, because this is what's going out to millennials across the nation. Number 1, figure out what you want to do, as if it's that simple. 2, look in the right places. How do you know where they are? 3, write a CV. Again, just not an easy thing to do. 4, which I actually think is a good one, build an online presence, which we'll talk about after. 5, tailor your applications, important. 6, check daily. No one's going to do that. 7, prep for interview. There's nothing even about applying, clicking, how to actually go about it. So I thought that was, obviously, they're trying to condense it down to a 7-point plan, but some of those things you just wouldn't even. How do you figure out what you want to do? You explore, you things like that. You write a CV. It is not that simple. Everybody knows there's so many people out there, careers hubs, careers networks at unis that try and help young people do that, because we don't know what these hiring managers want to see and how to word things and things like that. The one that I did really want to pick up on, especially in our digital and creative tech industry that we work in, build an online presence. And I do think that is really important when you're looking for a job and you don't want to go just down the conventional route of go to a job site, click apply, and then wait and see. And a lot of the time you don't hear back from most people. Building an online presence is so important, because if you go to an event, meet somebody, you look on their LinkedIn, and if they look back on yours, it's all looks really professional, got loads of information on. You just don't know where those kinds of things can lead. And we met at an event, didn't we? Yeah. After a Catalyst, which is an O event that was set up, and have kept in contact and we work in the same industry, and now we know the same people, and people think it's not a small world, but it really is. So the online presence as well makes the world even smaller. And I do think that's a really important tip for people looking for jobs. And there was another one, a Guardian article, that was 50 steps to finding a job. I thought that's more realistic, but you don't want to be reading about it, do you? So in terms of the digital and creative sector, what kind of tips would you say to people looking for work, how they can get into it?
I'd say explore as many opportunities as you can before going into the first full-time employment step. I left uni after 3 years and learned more in the year interning in London than I did in 3 years in internship. And then even when I moved back to Liverpool, I was struggling to get a job in Liverpool. The opportunities are less than far and few between, and there's possibly just as many people going for that one role. So I got stuck in this kind of rut of just keep checking job sites, and I got a bit kind of
you get a bit downhearted, don't you?
And
because
also
you can apply to so many. I know I probably sent out 30 to 40 applications when I was in my 3rd year, coming to that end when you get to June and you're like, oh my God.
Send.
You just do, and it was not the right thing to do at all. The 2 or 3 that I sent I spent loads of time on, really personalised, and I actually spoke to people from the company or people that knew the company before. Those were all the ones I got interviews for. The others, it was just a waste of time,
you had that pre-existing relationship with them. And then going back to what you were saying about online presence, the more online presence you have, the more personal brand that you can put out there, the more people understand who you are as a person or what your likes, dislikes, skills, creative kind of assets are. And doing things. So I'd done a few courses that Liverpool offered. Now London doesn't offer courses like that, whereas Liverpool does. So it's that kind of double-edged sword where, although I wasn't going to get this full-time employment straight away coming back to Liverpool, there was really lovely kind of free courses that I managed to do there. Catalyst being one with, Rob and Julie, who you've had on before. And then also the Agent Academy, who was,
of course.
So both of these kinds of courses I'd fully recommend discovering, because ultimately through them 2 courses, I've met contacts, I've met yourself. I even met my current employer at Jackal through a contact that I had in agents, who I'm very grateful for actually putting me in touch with, because 6 months down the line there, I am loving my first job still. So it's all about building up that network, building up them connections, that online presence, and not necessarily sitting there doing, the one biggest regret I had after coming back to Liverpool was getting stuck in that rut of constantly applying for jobs boards. And I think the one time I applied, I always had this battle between, do I keep in an agency where I want to work, or do I just apply for everything? And half the people will always say, no, only apply for the job that you want to do. But then the other half are going, you need your foot in the door, you need to get your first job. And the only time I ever applied for a job where I wasn't fully committed to, I actually got and ended up hating it and left straight away. And so it's like, so that was that confirmation for me to say, only ever go for the job that you feel 100% is right for you.
Definitely.
And not just go in for it with a CV on a jobs board, find out about them, build that online presence, meet them at a networking event, try and find out their contacts, where they're going to be after work or where they're going to go in at their own events.
Go to events, go find out about the community. That was the biggest thing when I came to Liverpool. Started working in the digital, IT, businessy. Obviously, we're in the commercial sector here, and just finding out about how many events there are is ridiculous. I could never go to half of them, and I started to go to loads of events, which is how I met everybody in the digital and tech community in Liverpool, and they're so welcoming and kind, especially to young people, because we're in a sector that really needs young people. We're in a sector that needs millennials to come in and take over and run the show. So we're lucky in that sense, but I think it translates across all industries and is really important for millennials to get that confidence just to go, get someone else, get a friend, go with a friend, and go to those events and go and meet the community, because the business community are trying to meet this new potential talent. And if you make it easy to find yourself online and at events and in the community, you're a shoo-in, really.
But and this is it. So the events that I still go to now that I personally love, just not necessarily networking events for the business, just for events that I love to go to. The social media meetup, for example, you see these events that are happening, you see uni students being there, and you're almost talking to them, and I'm shocked to find that you feel like the people who go to them events are the ones who aren't really going to be struggling to find a job, because they're the ones that are proactively going out there and finding opportunities, meeting, networking people, and it's the people at home who are just, ticking that Indeed job site box for whatever they want to do. They're the ones that are going to struggle, and Liverpool's so welcoming to people who are. I think it's just naturally a northern thing that people are just so welcoming, and it's that mentality of everyone's a friend. Come in, we'll relax you, we'll help you out. Exactly, and that's what I love most about the network events you go to now. It's not just if you see someone on your own in the corner, no one's just going to stand there and.
Definitely
and
not.
Look, you go over, you introduce yourself, hello, and half the time they're just the students who are just there. Oh, I'm just meeting people.
Yeah.
And you just build that confidence up for them.
Yeah, and that is again the most important thing. Have confidence in yourself to be able to go and find a job, not just on job sites. So thank you very much. Hopefully we've given you a few different options there of different ways into the industry and different ways into work in general. So thank you so much, James, for coming and talking to me today.
My absolute pleasure.
About that. That's been really, really fun. And I will put some links in the bio to different Liverpool networking events, because I think they are really, really valuable. Thank you so much for listening, and we hope to see you next time as well. Bye.